Forget the arrows, the swords, or the boiling oil. Tonight, the real predator lurking on this castle wall is not the enemy army. It is the cold. It doesn't just numb the flesh, it is eroding your marrow little by little. The granite stone beneath your boots is no longer a protective foundation, it is a massive block of ice, sucking the life out of you. Your breath escapes as pale ghosts, vanishing before they can warm your fingertips. You shift your feet, trying to feel your petrified toes, but it's useless. This castle is a masterpiece of defense, but for you, it's merely a stone refrigerator carved for war. You won't make it through this night, unless you get creative. Can a common soldier flip the script against nature's brutality? Join Flow of History as we uncover the most horrifying survival hacks. But first, do you have the courage to face this invisible enemy? Your first enemy is the building material itself. Stone, unlike soft wood, is a ruthless heat thief. A 13th century chronicle noted, "The stones are colder than the hearts of our enemies, and you are trapped within that icy embrace." The thick walls don't just block arrows, they trap moisture and drafts, creating a damp, paralyzing hell. Your primary survival secret isn't armor, it's wool. You wrap yourself in multiple layers. Linen, easier to wash, even in icy streams, close to the skin, overlaid with layers of thick woolen tunics and cloaks. Wool was king because it retained heat even when damp, a bloody lesson learned over centuries. Yet, even wool has limits. You feel the itchy, stale smell clinging to you, but it's the smell of survival. Some comrades even resorted to extreme measures, stuffing dry straw or scraps of parchment into the gaps between their clothing, turning themselves into rustling hay figures for extra crude insulation. It makes you look ridiculous, but when your lips are cracking, that creativity is invaluable. This leads to the second truth: sheepskin, the perfect armor. The sheepskin cloak, with its thick, natural fleece, is the object of desire. It's not glamorous, but it is exponentially more effective. The pristine fleece is a natural bio-insulator, trapping body heat far better than woven wool. When you press your cheek against that rough fleece, you feel as though the animal's warmth is still lingering, a living presence beside you. Records from the Carolingian period confirm the mass distribution of these sheepskin coats to soldiers, proving kings understood its life-saving value. Are you willing to sacrifice appearance for a night of sleep without frostbite? After layering up, your next enemy is stillness. Standing motionless on the wall is an invitation to death. Thus, your fundamental survival tactic is non-stop movement. Your heel rhythmically taps the stone, creating a dry, echoing sound in the dark. It's a dance of desperation. Keep moving to avoid freezing solid. When the guard shift ends, you don't seek privacy, you seek communal warmth. You and your comrades will huddle, bunching up on the straw pallets. The pallet, palisa, merely a sack of dry hay, is a critical barrier between your body and the hellish cold of the stone floor. You lie pressed against your comrade, their elbow nestled against your ribs. This isn't romantic brotherhood, it's raw survival science. The more bodies clustered together, the less heat is lost. There are anecdotes of soldiers rotating positions, ensuring no one was perpetually exposed to the chilling drafts near the wall. Imagine, you are hugging a stranger, and his breath is the only thing preventing your immediate freezing. That feeling is more terrifying than any battle, isn't it? To heat the space further, soldiers utilize small aids, portable braziers. These iron cauldrons filled with glowing coals create heat islands in the vast hall. The localized warmth they emit is salvation, enough to revive numb fingers. Even more inventively, a quirky hack involved placing a cluster of 10 to 20 tallow candles under an inverted clay pot, creating a surprisingly effective mini heater. Also, some soldiers wrapped heated stones taken from the hearth in thick cloth, turning them into crude hot water bottles to slip into their straw bedding. However, the ultimate communal heat strategy was the living furnace. During the coldest nights, desperate garrisons sometimes allowed horses into the outer halls or even communal sleeping quarters. An adult horse is a gigantic biological radiator, emitting steady warmth without fuel. You lie close to the animal's flank, feeling the powerful rhythm of its heart under your ear. That warmth penetrates the thick wool, melting the frost in your bones. It was a messy, smelly chaos, manure and horse sweat, but it was life. The external fire can die, but the inner fire must be nourished. Hot food is not a luxury, it is the lifeblood. You instinctively head to the kitchen, the only room in the castle that refuses to surrender to the cold. The heat from the ovens and the steaming souse cauldrons is momentarily stunning. Sipping a thin, salty broth made of barley and cured meat, or whatever scraps remain, is a near-sacred act. The heat spreads from your tongue, down your throat, settling in your chest like a small, glowing coal. This internal warmth empowers the body to fight. Commanders often ordered extra hot rations during night watches, knowing that morale itself could be ladled into a bowl. Furthermore, beer and wine, being safer and more caloric than water, were heated gently, mixed with honey and vinegar to form a posset, a thick medicinal drink, to combat chills. The soldiers' primary food source was salted meat, dry, tough, and so briny it was almost petrified. It was like shoe leather, yet it was the crucial calorie fuel for winter. Soldiers often soaked this cured meat in warm ale overnight to tenderize it, or chewed it persistently, accepting the painful sting of the salt on their cracked lips. The salt not only preserved the meat, but also helped maintain muscular strength. But did you ever consider that weapons also need to be kept warm? Steel is a traitor. Your sword blade, spearhead, or helmet, if left exposed overnight, would become freezing cold. Touching the bare metal could cause instant frostbite, tearing skin off your flesh. Steel contracts and becomes brittle in the extreme cold, causing mail links to seize or spear shafts to crack. To protect them, soldiers constantly rubbed animal fat onto the metal to create a protective layer against rust and frost. They also engaged in the covert warmth tactic. Many soldiers tucked daggers under their tunics or placed sword blades beneath straw bedding to maintain the metal's temperature. A gruesome anecdote tells of some desperate men having to urinate on their sword hilts before battle just to thaw the frozen grip, the ultimate act of necessity. Ironically, the weapons designed to kill the enemy required constant human effort to ensure they didn't kill their own wielder. Despite the cloaks, the straw, and the communal warmth, the cold persists. The consequence is frostbite and sickness. Frostbite is the soldier's nightmare, often starting in the toes and fingers. You've seen comrades lose toes, turning black like burnt candle wax. The only salvation is relentless foot care. Soldiers wrapped their feet in rags or bark as makeshift socks, stuffing straw or moss into their boots. This method left feet damp and itchy, but prevented complete freezing. They rubbed their extremities with goose fat or crushed garlic, believing the pungent odor would repel the cold, and endured the sharp pain as blood reluctantly recirculated. Numbness was the trap. The camp's shared wisdom: better blisters from rubbing than black toes. Compounding frostbite, the huddled warmth turned the barracks into a hotbed of disease. Coughs, fever, and the ague, likely pneumonia or flu, spread like wildfire. The castle's damp stone walls exacerbated the situation. Soldiers tried to counteract this by stuffing moss or rags into wall cracks or burning juniper branches to create smoke, hoping to purify the air of illness. Furthermore, soldiers were forced to engage in rigorous drills and light exercises outdoors. This intense physical activity was not just discipline, it was a survival tactic to force the body to generate heat and promote circulation. Guards would stomp, swing their weapons, and shift their weight in short bursts to avoid numbing. The commander's mantra: keep the blood flowing or lose the limb. Even digging snow shelters was a documented technique in northern garrisons, utilizing the snow's insulation to create an air pocket and avoid direct wind chill. You look up at the towering walls and realize the architecture's cruelty. The castle is a perfect defensive machine, but a terrible refrigerator. The arrow slits not only allow archers to fire, but also act as wind funnels, directing icy drafts straight into the corridors. The lofty ceilings are impressive, but suck all the heat upwards, leaving you trapped in the perpetual cold layer below. This ancient lack of physics knowledge turned the castle into a stone cage for its defenders. Facing this reality, soldiers relied on crude physical shields. They gathered rough mats, old blankets, or ragged cloths to hang on the barracks walls. This was a poor man's version of the decorative tapestries used by the lords for insulation. This rough fabric was a minimal psychological and physical barrier, dulling the wind's shriek and reducing the direct chill from the stone. Compounding this, spreading rushes or thick mats across the stone floor was essential. The rushes were not just for bedding, they were a makeshift insulating carpet to separate the soldiers from the cold ground. Despite the musty odor and the inevitable infestation of fleas, it was a necessary trade-off. In their crude slang, soldiers called the rush spreading refurnishing the noble floor. These partitions turned the room into a cocoon of fabric and hay, providing stillness and a semblance of warmth that was crucial for survival. When the body weakens, the spirit must be strong. The spiritual fire was fueled by faith and music. In the frigid chapel, you kneel on the stone floor, murmuring prayers. Prayer is not just faith, it is an exercise. The repetition of hymns and chants encourages deeper breathing and calms the mind. Alongside this were the superstitions. You carried small bones, dried rosemary, or lucky coins sewn into your cloaks, believing these items would confuse the frost spirits. They believed laughter would disarm the cold spirits. The climax of spiritual survival was laughter. On long, dark nights, you and your comrades would turn the barracks into a crude theater. They would sing bawdy ballads about tavern wenches and dark jokes about arrogant officers. They even organized stomping, clapping, and singing contests to generate heat through sheer physical exertion. The crude humor was a powerful emotional shield. Can you hear it? That laughter, it is the final wall against the cold. Parallel to the laughter was connection. Though illiterate, you would find a literate comrade to draft a letter home. You described the cold, the awful cured meat, and the comrade's hacks. You folded the letter, tucking a piece of dry straw or a bit of wool inside as evidence. The real warmth came from the image of your loved one receiving that letter, knowing you were still alive and still capable of affection. The letter became a soul stove, proof that you still belonged to a warmer world beyond the stone walls. You open your eyes, the smell of straw, sheep fat, and sweat. Your bones ache, but you are alive. This journey through the long night has proven one truth. Medieval soldiers did not survive winter because their castles were well designed. They survived because they refused to yield. Every hack, every joke, every layer of wool, every shared breath was an act of defiance against nature. The castle was steel, but their will was fire. You feel a surge of gratitude for the body that fought relentlessly. You tap the shoulder of the comrade beside you, who is still buried deep in his blanket. He will wake up, curse the cold, and continue the fight. Dawn slowly breaks, the first pale light dusting the frosty stone, but you are no longer shivering uncontrollably. You feel the steady warmth from the man beside you, the calloused grip still in your hands, and the lingering taste of a salty broth that saved you from surrender. And you, the listener, remember this. The story of survival isn't just history. It belongs to the indomitable human spirit. If you felt the warmth radiating from this story, please give Flow of History a like and subscribe so we can continue bringing you more vivid and compelling historical narratives. Thank you for joining Flow of History through the coldest night in the castle. We'll see you in the next story.
Perfect armor.